Silencing the external critics. Stepping into the spotlight comes with taking the chance that you'll be criticized. Just ask Bruno Mars. The pop performer had been chosen to headline the halftime show at the 2014 Super Bowl. Part of Mars's big moment had to do with predictions building up to the performance, creating an atmosphere of anticipation that offers some instructive lessons for anyone about to experience a major speech or presentation. Prior to this most anticipated and watched event emerged a plethora of online media discussions, a charitable description of the pre-game vitriol surrounding Mars's selection, bashing Mars as a baby-faced lightweight not ready for prime time. Never mind his immense popularity, a recent Grammy for Best Pop Album, or a concert tour that grossed $72.4 million. For critics, the fact that Bruno Mars wasn't a tested commodity on a Super Bowl scale was enough to pass judgment. He wasn't, after all, a universally anointed music industry giant on par with Bruce, Beyoncé, Madonna, or McCartney. In other words, Bruno Mars wasn't a safe choice, and that made some observers antsy. When asked about the controversy around the selection at a news conference, Bruno said, "No matter where I perform, it's my job to uplift the people. So whether I'm performing at a graduation party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, the Grammys, or the Super Bowl, I'm going to give it all I got. Whatever happens, happens. That's your job, to uplift the people. Let other people pontificate on whether what you're doing is going to be a career breaker or career maker. The great performer knows that's a false either/or. He will take the risk because the bigger the risk and the higher the stakes, the greater the opportunity to create something exciting, moving, meaningful, shocking, and inspiring. The performer knows how easy it is to criticize, so there is no point in sorting through it all. You'll be well served if you simply do your best and care more about the quality of your work than pre-performance applause or the apoplectic antagonists." Idina Menzel played the role of Elsa in Frozen, the most successful animated movie in history. She also originated the role of Elphaba in Wicked and Maureen in Rent on Broadway. She might be one of the most talented and hard-working musical performers in modern history. To celebrate the new year of 2015, Menzel was asked to give a live performance of the theme song from Frozen in Times Square, NYC. And, boy, was it ever! On that frigid night, temperatures were below freezing, more than 1 million people crowded the streets, and tens of millions more watched at home. She performed beautifully until she reached for the last note. Twitter blew up with angry critics panning her performance and ridiculing her. In response to the criticism, Menzel simply pointed the naysayers to something she'd said a few months prior. "There are about 3 million notes in a 2.5-hour musical. Being a perfectionist, it took me a long time to realize that if I'm hitting 75% of them, I'm succeeding. Performing isn't only about the acrobatics and the high notes, it's staying in the moment, connecting with the audience in an authentic way, and making yourself real to them through the music. I am more than the notes I hit, and that's how I try to approach my life. You can't get it all right all the time, but you can try your best. If you've done that, all that's left is to accept your shortcomings and have the courage to try to overcome them." She gets it. She's not just successful because of her talent. She's also successful because she is willing to do the work and silence the critics with her attitude, all in service of the audience and her art. Sure, the critics may still prattle on, but she doesn't hear them. Instead, she continues to reach for the high notes. The performer's paradox. Criticism can arrive as potshots from the rude person in the front row or as toxic office gossip that can tear apart a team. Then there are times when a supervisor, peer, or loved one wants to give helpful feedback but doesn't know how to do that effectively. Anytime I hear, "Can I give you some constructive criticism?" I know some unsolicited and often unhelpful or nitpicky advice is about to be levied. Criticism is criticism even when dressed up as being constructive. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines a critic as one who expresses a reasoned opinion on any matter, especially involving a judgment of its value, truth, righteousness, beauty, or technique. That's a fair and perfectly appropriate way of behaving. But the dictionary also offers an alternative definition, one given to harsh or captious judgment. That's the kind of criticism I'm referring to. We often let criticism from people we don't know well or don't know at all affect us too much. Criticism in the realm of public speaking or any other creative endeavor taps into our more personal feelings because performing is an experience where we are undressed psychologically in public. It's a place where you're making yourself vulnerable in ways you haven't before. A friend put himself forward for a seat on our local school board. To be selected for this volunteer position, he had to appear at a town council meeting that many parents and other stakeholders attended, and everyone was allowed to make comments for or against candidates. Anyone could say anything they liked about him. To get on the board and to be of service, he was not only offering to donate his time, but he had to be willing to be criticized, even by people who aren't willing to donate their time. He was willing because he cared more about results than approval. Performing, whether on stage, in the field, in the office, or in a civic group where you seek a leadership position, places you under expanded scrutiny. You're stepping up and you're asking for the exposure that will result in people talking about you, sometimes negatively. The fact that your ambition to become a performer adds to your anxiety and fear, and as a result increases your resistance to achieving your goal, all adds to the performer's paradox. As you become a performer, you will need to deal with these conflicting intentions. Your super objective of becoming a community leader, advocate for a cause, or senior executive in a public company will battle with that familiar inner voice telling you to avoid situations where you could be criticized, laughed at, or rejected. I coach and advise many aspiring speakers, CEOs, authors, and others, and they find it helpful to realize that they ultimately have to choose between results or approval. In the end, the ones who choose results are more successful and more satisfied by their work. Which is more important to you, results or approval? Be honest. When I was younger, it was all about approval. Now, it's results. I won't sacrifice my values and certainly would never consider hurting anyone to achieve my goals, but I don't work for applause or status. I care about helping you shine in all the spotlight moments in your life. I care about delivering on the promise of this book. If you steal the show, then I've achieved my goal. Dealing with your conflicting intentions can also be a personal issue. In fact, many of our business problems are personal problems in disguise. That is, if you're not getting promoted at work, it might not have anything to do with your skills, but everything to do with how you interact with others. You have the intention to get ahead, but you might also have the intention of showing others that you're better than them in the process. Those are conflicting intentions, and they are getting in the way of your professional or personal development. If you are an artist but you can't support yourself because you won't show your work because you feel it's selling out to cater to the commercial aspects of the art world, those conflicting intentions are getting in the way of your dreams of producing art that will reach the people you're meant to serve. If you want to give speeches on a topic you're passionate about because you want to change the world in some way, but you don't want to be criticized, those conflicting intentions will surely get in the way of you taking center stage. If you want to fall in love, but you also want to ensure you don't get hurt, those conflicting intentions may make it hard for you to be open to new possibilities. Or, if you are overly concerned with the approval of strangers rather than trusting yourself and the opinions of your loved ones who really know you, you are giving strangers too much power over your life and you need to stop. If you have one intention to go out there and nail it, to steal the show, and another intention not to put yourself in situations where you can be criticized, the latter will likely cancel out the former. Now that you understand what's at stake, let's liberate ourselves from these conflicting intentions.